Hello, and welcome to the Total Woman Show. I am happy to be here today, and I hope you are too, because today's show is about you. I am here with my co-hosts, Libby Sanders and Jody Tucker, Coach Allison, and Patty Cotton. And I want to welcome you guys to the show today. We're going to have a great time, because today, this is about you. You know, this show is designed to enrich, empower, and to help you on the path to transformational success. Again, about you. And you know, we have a very exciting show for you today. This is about eating, food disorders. Actually, you know, we have so much of our deepest emotions that are with food and sugar. So today, we're talking about what is the safety that you are truly hungry for. And Coach Allison is going to talk to us about food and what does food mean to you. She also talks about, and I'm going to let her share that, about it's not about the food you eat, it's about what's eating you. This is a very emotional topic, so I want you to stay tuned in. Don't turn away. Keep that dial going, and we want you to enjoy our show today. So Allison, share with us about food and our connection with food, because it's a real emotional issue.
It's a very emotional issue. First of all, we must eat food in order to survive,
Yes.
right? So to stay alive.
Yes.
And I love food. And I personally did not have too much issues with food. I just could eat everything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's pretty much what I did. And when I first learned about eating disorder, that was when when Karen Carpenter passed away.
Oh, yes.
And that was about the time when I came to the States, actually.
Yes.
And I was like, what? You know, because I mean, nobody talked about that.
No one talked about it.
And she had anorexia and she a lot of different types of eating disorder for many years, and she passed away. For those of you who are not aware of that. So anyway, but I didn't really think about it much, study it, and I really didn't realize that so many people had it.
Yes.
Because I didn't actually observe it, and I wasn't looking for it, so I didn't know. And then the connection between food and all your emotions became real to me when a few years ago when I was actually on chemo. And I was very, very sick with a very aggressive breast cancer. And one of the scans that they do on you to see how your cancer is going and if you have cancer or not is PET scan. And what for any type of scan, they give you what they call a tracer, a dye that makes whatever that they're looking for stand out more in the scan, right? So if you go in for a bone scan, they give you a dye that makes calcium stand out, so they can see it better in the images. And for PET scan, for checking on cancer progression, they give you a dye that makes glucose stand out, sugar, okay?
Right.
And then they say, well, because cancer feeds on sugar. And if they see a lot of sugar concentrated in one area, that is how they locate a tumor.
Oh,
Okay,
yes.
and that's how they do it
wow.
in PET scan, and that's that's how people say, well, cancer came back, or there's no more cancer. That all comes from PET scan results, actually. And when I learned that, I was like, well, then why is everybody eating sugar?
Yeah.
Because I mean, I would go into the infusion center when I got my chemo infusion through IV, and they had all. Could you eat in there for a few hours, 3 or 4 hours, just sitting there with the IV and getting all these poison in your body, and they give you cookies and crackers and sugar, you know, all kinds of candy and stuff, and that didn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
So I would tell people, you can't eat
No
that.
kidding.
What's wrong with this? I just said, don't
Chemo
eat
and
that.
candy. That doesn't sound right. Yeah.
Don't eat that. I mean, your cancer will, grow more if you eat sugar, and most of them would just tell me, no, they don't. No, they don't. And then these are the people who had PET scans, okay? And then I would go to different lectures and stuff, about cancer, because I had to learn more about it. And they would all talk about how cancer feeds on sugar, but everybody would eat sugar. And even at my cancer support group, they would, pass out like
Pass out candy bars.
and I would say, well, do you want to eat this? And somebody actually told me this is the only joy left in my life.
Yes, there's the emotion.
So even when they knew that they could very well manage. I mean, I don't know about cure or anything like that, but you could very well manage the growth of cancer by managing your sugar intake, right?
Right.
Because that's the fuel that makes the cancer grow. But they couldn't do it. But if you ask them, do you want to live? All of them said yes.
Yes.
But then at the same time, they were like,
Yeah.
well, I can't give this up. And so for the desire for sugar was stronger than desire for life.
Now
And that shocked me.
That's
That
shocking
shocked
to
me. You know, because I mean, you gotta know, I mean, how difficult these cancer treatments are. And
I can well imagine.
and when people say I want to live, I mean that's a serious statement, okay? And for them to say but they can't turn around and say, well, I need a candy bar. You know, it's like no. And I would kind of wonder, where does that come from?
Mm-hmm.
Where does that come from? Because I mean, when they told me that they wanted to live, that they wanted to beat cancer, I believe that. You know?
And maybe they believed it too.
Yeah, but at the same time, they're like, well, no, I gotta have. It's my only joy left in life. And so there was so much emotion, and that's when I first realized there's more to it than just eating sugar or cutting sugar or whatever it is. Because there are plenty of things that we know that are bad for us, but we continue to do them. But when it comes to food, it seems like, I mean, food is a lifestyle choice that you make throughout the day, every day of your life. Okay, so, and it's very controllable. It's up to you. And usually when you grab something to eat, you don't really have people telling you what to eat because first of all, you don't want that, right? And then you're free to eat what you want to eat. And there's abundance of food around us, right? And we're not starving people anymore. And I do a lot of public speaking, and my signature talk is titled "Decoding Your Relationship with Sugar." And I talk about, okay, well, why do you want sugar? They usually say, well, because it tastes good, right? But I agree, it tastes good, right? But what else does it do for you, though? You know, sugar is
a stimulant.
Stimulant.
It's
It
an
gives you
addiction.
energy.
It's
Yeah.
an addiction.
Yes.
When you could talk about addiction to sugar for either a cancer patient, you could talk about addiction to food for someone who overeats and someone who is really in excess, very obese. You could talk about addiction to someone who abuses alcohol, drugs, sex. So these are all addictions, and the word addiction or the meaning of it, it's not prejudice.
No.
It'll go anywhere
Yes.
where the mind will allow you to bring it.
Exactly.
You know, your mind
Right.
is very powerful.
Yeah.
It can either be a curse or a blessing, your mind.
Right.
Yeah, and then when I actually have people think about, okay, what does sugar do for you, and what are the times when you want it more than others?
At night.
When you're stressed out, or when you're lonely, when you're sad.
It's an emotional
And so,
feeling.
so again, it's a friend when you're lonely. It's an entertainment when you're bored. You know, and it's a picker-upper when you're sad. I mean, it plays a lot of different roles.
It
And
could
so
also it could also be something like self-sabotage.
Yes.
What if
exactly.
someone really, they haven't
So
gone to that
it
place where
comes
the
back to, and I usually say it's never about the sugar.
it's
never
never
about the sugar. And whatever that people are addicted to, alcohol or food in general or gambling, whatever it is, it's never about that thing that they're actually addicted to. It's the emotional thing.
Yeah.
And what are they
The
truly
reason
hungry
that
for?
they're going
Yeah,
for it.
Absolutely.
It's just that when it comes to your own body and how you treat your own body with eating or smoking or drinking, or some people like to cut themselves, or they don't like to say that that's what they turn to in
Yes.
order to deal with their emotions. And whatever that they're lacking emotionally, which is usually, about self-love or self-satisfaction, or the feeling adequate, being good enough, or pursuing perfection. It's usually about those things. When it's about your own body, though, it's easier to hide, right? I mean, as opposed to like your addiction to gambling. It's a lot easier to hide when it's about food.
That's right. That's
Or to
exactly,
justify it.
exactly right.
Or
Yeah,
to justify it to
yeah,
say,
yeah.
well, if it's just a bag of Doritos, it's just a chocolate sundae.
And I don't eat this all the time.
Yeah, exactly. I get that all the time
I
too.
don't eat this all the time.
Yeah,
I eat this every day.
and so it's because it's easier to hide. That tells you even more that it is about your own self-affliction
Yeah.
that you're dealing with. But it's so common, and there's no way to really get an accurate number of how many people suffer from it because it's not known.
Yeah,
it
it
happens
really
all the
isn't.
time.
Because we're not going to say that out
No,
loud.
exactly.
I have an
You
unhealthy
know?
relationship with food.
Right.
It's hard to say out loud. Like,
Yeah.
what does that mean? What does it
Yes.
mean when you
Yes.
say that?
I'm
I
having a
love
great
food.
relationship with food.
Yeah.
Yes.
Who says that?
You know, no one
yeah.
says that.
Or thinks that about that in an honest way and says, why am I reaching for
Exactly.
this?
Yeah.
But it really is about what's eating you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good way
and
to put it.
Yeah, and I
like
remember
that.
soon after I enrolled to become a health coach, right after my cancer treatments, I read a biography of Karen Carpenter.
Oh.
Which you should
And-
tell the audience for younger kids that don't know who Karen Carpenter
Oh,
is.
yeah.
Yeah.
She was a member of the Carpenters. She and her brother was
Singers.
Yes, singers.
Singer.
And they were very big in the 70s.
Yes,
And
worldwide.
a lot of the songs that I love. I mean, they
Yes.
They're very talented.
Yeah, very.
I
very
remember when
talented.
she died. I remember the day she died.
And it was known that her mother was very controlling and favored her brother over everything. And she felt very deprived of that love. And actually in the biography, I remember, I actually didn't look it up again, but I remember reading about the part where they're sitting with a counselor. And so her brother and Karen and her mother are sitting there with the counselor, and the counselor says something like, well, I think Karen wants to hear that she's loved. And her brother was like, well, of course we love her. And then her mother didn't say anything.
Oh,
Yes.
And so the counselor just kind of said, well, what about you, Agnes? And then her response was, actually, I prefer to be called Mrs. Carpenter.
Yes.
That was her answer.
Oh, wow.
And so you think of this world-famous superstar
Yeah.
still starving for that love
Yeah.
from her own
For
mother.
her mother.
And some of
And-
us all have someone like that in our family.
Yeah.
I know I do.
Yeah.
You know, everyone has someone either in their family or someone that they, that they are close to
In their life, somewhere.
in their life somewhere that,
Yeah.
we look for people, to,
Yeah.
that's why we shouldn't look outside of us for validation
Right.
and for
Yeah.
love
Right.
and fulfillment
Right.
for food,
Yeah.
sugars, sweets, anything, because really
Again,
the
that's
fulfillment
that
is
internal looking
is
inside.
internal.
Yeah.
Again,
Yeah.
it's that
Because
self
I
that
mean,
we
when
said on the
people
first
say-
segment.
Yeah,
Yes.
when people say, oh, I want to control this, well, yeah, food is easier to control, but where does that need for control come from?
Yeah.
Why are you pursuing that perfection and you keep thinking, well, I'm not perfect enough and it's not going to be good enough. And I see a lot of people suffer with that because the focus of my coaching is on health and lifestyle and
Right.
the choices that we
Right.
make
Right.
all affect our health, and they literally want to die. And it's so hard for me because I see them differently. I see them as amazing people who have so much to offer, and yet it's hard for them to see that.
So
It
what do you
is.
tell them? How do you get them?
They usually tell me that they don't know if they can change. And that's what breaks my heart the most. And do I have it in me to change? And my answer is always absolutely.
Yeah.
You
can
have it
change.
in you.
You
Have
can
it.
change.
Yes, you have it in you because you will. I mean, because you will. I mean, that's the answer. And it takes practice to really make that kind of ingrained in your head, But the emotions are very deep rooted.
Yes.
When people think that
Definitely.
they're not deserving of love, deserving of their own mother's love. Think about how devastating that would be and I'm sure that started at a very young age with Karen Carpenter, for example.
Yes.
And all the money that she made, and she was big, right? In my time. She was big.
She was
Yeah,
very
she-
good.
And all the fans that she had all over the world, it wasn't good enough for her.
But there's another point here
Yeah.
that just came to me while you were talking. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but it's nowadays. You look at television lately?
I hardly ever put it on. But
Everything is about food. Food is either food or you're unhealthy, so you need this remedy. You need this remedy. It's about either you're feeding stuff in your face. So I'm wondering too, subliminally, if the message is it's okay to have Doritos and this ice cream and all these things, and now the big juicy hamburger. and which you know is not healthy for you.
It's not.
So
It's
the bombardment of media, because that's what sells.
Yes.
Adverts.
Absolutely.
Because people are gonna go and buy and eat.
Yes.
And then what sells after that are the diet pills, the lose
everything
weight
out,
quick,
yeah, lose
you know,
weight quick.
the 3-day
Yeah.
shake
Yeah.
diet,
Yeah.
and so it
Yeah.
just is one
It's one
vast
vicious
cycle.
cycle. It really is.
It's a conspiracy, actually. But I mean,
It's
but
the
you
illness,
probably-
the illness
probably
industry.
is.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's an illness industry.
Yeah, because I mean, when people have whatever you eat, it really does affect you, right? And so it's not just about eating food physically so that it'll make your cells in your body, because it will. Every cell in your body is made up of the food that you eat. But it's not just about the physical thing. It changes your emotions and your energy and how you feel about yourself, how you treat other people. It's all. I mean, you can manage a lot of that, most of that with food, and even the genetic stuff that people think, oh yeah, well, my parents are diabetic, so I'm going to be diabetic too. That's not true. That's not true
Well,
at
you know,
all.
I talk about that in some of the seminars I've done, is looking at your health history. Just because it was in the family of diabetes
Yeah.
doesn't mean that you have to have that.
Right,
Because
that's
you have a choice that you can control
Yeah.
how you eat and what you eat,
Yeah.
since you already know you have the history.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
But what propels people to want to change, and then what steps do they need to do? And let me digress a moment, because with any weight loss program, unfortunately, thank God, I've not had to really deal with this issue, but they ask you, some people programs ask you to write down what do you eat. You know, keep a diary of what you put in your mouth. Would that help? You know, and are
Well,
people faithful to
sometimes.
doing that?
Yeah,
it's that-
sometimes.
but the diary of food, what you eat. But the other thing is maybe being introspective to do a work, and maybe we'll do a seminar about this, where we start looking at what is eating you, what's out of balance in your life.
And you know what? A lot of diet programs or health programs don't ever ask you to engage at that level.
That's right.
Like
They don't.
as someone who has struggled, I've struggled with my weight my entire life. Like as a young girl, people would just look at me and say, "Oh, you're just big boned." You know, that's code for you're the chunky chick. Then everybody just doesn't want to say that out loud. And you know, so when you get told that on a regular basis, you are that.
That's
And
right.
so even when I was down to and worked really hard, not in a healthy way, but I worked really hard to get to a weight that I was comfortable with, I was still that chunky girl
Yes.
on the inside.
Sure.
And then as I got into relationships, I would notice, you know, the thinner I am, the more amorous you are. And that didn't feel right to me because I was still the same person.
Right.
But
Right.
it wasn't actually those weight loss programs, weight loss, I don't know if I even like that term, but
Yeah.
that ever asked me to look
They
at
don't.
this
Yeah,
layer
and
of
that is
No,
what,
no.
what is going on up here that's causing you to manifest it out there.
Right.
There's no requirement of that. So I could journal all I wanted about food. I could drink the
Sure.
shakes and not eat the, you know,
Yeah.
I could do all those
Well,
actions
yes.
and
And you could
still
also-
fail.
Yeah, you
and
can.
still not take the weight off
Yeah.
because there's this piece.
yes.
This
And even
piece,
the people who
yeah.
lose a lot of weight on a slim fast diet or whatever,
The percentage of them gaining it right
they
back.
gain it right
Because
back
they don't
because-
diet
yeah,
They've
Because
never
you're not
really
going
gone inward to really
Yeah, because
diagnose the
those
problem.
diets do work because you're living on very few calories
Yes.
a day. They do work, but
On a physical level, they
on
work.
a physical level,
Yes.
but it doesn't last
No.
because your emotional struggles will still come out with your food.
Yes.
Right.
And the
Right.
emotional struggles, vary with all kinds of things, but still the point is it's about yourself and
Yeah.
how you see yourself. And I do a lot of different exercises about self-awareness. And why is this a difficult thing? And even people who have eating disorders, they think, well, it's the food, and I just don't, or it's just the body image, and those things, go together, but it's more than that.
Yeah.
It's more than that, and it
Yeah.
also dominoes into other areas in their life. So
Exactly.
you're never going to have an undereater or an overeater that it's not spilling over into
That's
other
right.
areas
Yes,
in their
that's
life,
true, that's
relationally,
right. And it-
personally, how they are
Professionally.
professionally
You know, and
in
it
the
may not
office,
even
right?
be the food. Like there are people in my life where it's the fitness.
Yes.
It's the 30 hours a week.
It's the
in
whole
gym.
mindset. And let's
Yeah.
talk about you when you said about looking in the mirror.
Yeah.
When you look in the mirror,
Yeah.
I've been earlier years. I was anorexic at one point, and when I looked in the mirror, I saw fat, and I saw just fat and ugly. And so that was my perception. And again, like I say, that the mind can be a curse or a blessing. And when we just, when we just start to just take that ego away, and again, look beneath the layers. This is just form, by the way. And this is just form. Not to say we don't need these bodies as to have us function, properly and help others in this life. Of course we do. And but we have to. When we look in the mirror, we have to want to look in the mirror. When I had my gyms, I taught health class, weight loss classes. But before even getting to that point, I would have women, and we'll talk about the other spectrum where people overeat. I've had women come in and sit in front of me, and we do a little figure analysis and so on and so forth. And and they sign up for the year, let's say a year membership. And would say, and this is from just having an open heart, feeling and sending love. And I was not overweight, I was fit. I sat in my car for 20 minutes. That's why I was really late for the appointment. I said, oh, yeah, because I thought, here I am, I'm gonna go into another gym and have another membership that I have to hide from my husband because I'm just going to fail. And that seems to be a big mindset. Again, the mind. I'm going to fail. I have failed. I've done so many diets. Richard Simmons was amazing in the 70s. He used to say, don't call it diet, live it. Live it. Love yourself. Put food that is nutritious and, came up from the earth and animals that were raised properly. And you're going to eat for life. It's part of the energy of this universe. So we're all energy. So when you think of food and you think of your body as energy, it'll start to circulate through the mind that way instead of thinking image, ego, I'm this, you're that, she looks this way, he looks that way. Again, it's letting go of those labels because they're so hurtful.
I still think, and my idea has always been, and I started this some years ago, personal best success seminars where I would have 35 women, and I do 6 hours with them, 3 different sessions, 6 hours. Power of self-clarification, the power of choice, and the power of navigating your own GPS system.
I love that.
Okay? Now, what I found in doing this in these small settings is that they would not take these self-help books home. They become shelf-help. But when I would sit them down in a round table like this and have exercises that they would jointly do and then discuss them, guess what? We got more results of changed lives. So what I'm saying, a lot of times we can say to the viewers, I could say, get a sheet of paper and start listening, what's eating you? But you won't do it. You will not do it by yourself. How many people made resolutions in January, this is March, and they say 50%, what is it, 60%? Boom, gone by the wayside. So it's probably, so it has to be,
by January 15th.
in some setting where you don't feel that you're by yourself, because the women were engaged, and like I said, 35 was small enough, in groups of 5 at a table. It worked. Lives were transformed. I did it for 9 years. And there are women who are very successful today. They never took the time to look within themselves. After the power of self-clarification, they came out with a sheet that says, this is me. And you need to put it on the wall. This is me.
And you created a safe place for them to do
that.
Which is often not what happens in gyms. I remember feeling humiliated about going into a gym at 250 pounds and looking around the gym and come on, it's a fashion show. It was a fashion show. And it was humiliating to go, you know what, gyms really aren't for fat people. I didn't feel like I was allowed in the building even.
and let's
so it was horrible.
Some of these girls,
you had to suck it up in the parking lot just to get through the door.
She did. And I'll tell you what, some women,
that's true.
Some women, how many times have you heard this? I can't go back to the gym till I lose 10 pounds. I'm like, what? That makes no sense.
Exactly.
Because we feel that when we walk in, okay, what's in a gym, everyone? There's mirrors everywhere.
But you see all these skinny minis in there,
And-
cycling away.
And you know what? I didn't even own a
And not-
full-length mirror because I didn't want to look
Yes,
at me.
because I don't even own a
Yeah.
scale. But I'll tell you what, there's
Yeah.
something to be said for, and you said this a few weeks ago in another segment, how, the things that are that women, that we just kind of take responsibility for so many things. Women also put too much onus on themselves as far as image, and they won't even look in the mirror. But have you ever noticed when you're in a gym, that a unisex gym, and there's some gentleman that's clearly he's overweight. And sorry guys, I love you, but try me. If I'm wrong, then just Twitter. tweet. The guy walks by and he goes in front of a mirror and goes, as he walks. He sucks it all in and walks, and he's still loving himself.
Oh,
and,
we call those guys the lat man,
Yes,
right? 'Cause
and
their
they
lats
have
are
a gut, but they walk and they go,
Yeah.
and the woman will typically walk past the mirror and pretty much look the other way, or she's saying with the big bubble outside, oh my God, I'm so fat. My big, blank, beep, beep, beep. Because that's what we do to ourselves, but we do it to ourselves. We do it,
Right on.
we tell ourselves
Yeah,
this.
for a lot of people, it starts at a very young age.
Yes.
Yeah.
And mainly because they are influenced by the people who believe that their own bodies are not good enough.
Or their
Right?
environment. I was
Yeah,
a
really
dancer,
good
as a
point.
ballerina.
That's a good
Yeah.
point.
Everyone
And
was
so-
skinny boned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So somebody else told them that they were not good enough.
Yes.
So they go around telling other people that they're not good enough.
Right.
Or they
Yes.
have habits that perpetuate,
Yeah.
this is what life should
Yeah.
be like.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And actually, a few years ago, I used to go to a Pilates studio with a lot of ballerinas, local ballerinas there. They're professional dancers, and they're beautiful. I mean, they're
Yeah.
amazing, right? Still, even then, they struggled with body image.
Body
That's how I
Because-
became anorexic. I was a
Because
professional
they're on the
dancer.
stage all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're judged by that and by what kind of roles they get on the show and their concert.
Yeah.
And a lot of the men that they worked with were gay. And so they didn't get the kind of, even the male
Right.
attention that they
Right.
wanted.
Yeah.
You know? And
Right.
so that really hurt their confidence,
Yeah.
thinking, well, that's because I'm not good enough. Well, that had nothing to do with it, but that's how they saw it.
And that's really
It's-
what's eating.
It's
Yeah,
something,
That's
exactly.
what's eating.
Exactly, yes.
as a professional dancer, it's that in your mind and the way society has it right now, is that's the image that we hired you for.
Yeah.
When I traveled with Ringling Brothers, Bonner and Bailey Circus as a showgirl.
Wow.
Wow.
For 1 year.
You didn't tell me that.
I did not.
You need to
Secrets,
come back.
secrets. And every single bead, grommet was all tailored. They measured every single inch of my body. $1,000, the big headset.
Wow.
In the contract, if you gained, we had weigh-ins.
Oh, wow.
We had weigh-ins every Saturday. We had 3 shows. We had 11 shows per week. On Saturday was 3 shows, morning, afternoon, and evening. After the first show, between the first and second show, we had weigh-ins. And we'd go in, and I still have my chart. I still have my weigh-in for every single week of the whole entire year. And if you had 1 morning, 2, and then 3, you get fired. You were not allowed to gain 10 pounds. That's in your contract. And just so you know, from this type of lifestyle, that's the way it is. And so, if that's not molding anorexia, I don't know what is.
Right.
And I was really good at mastering anorexia. And I'm going to say that again. You could master something that is not good in this country, in this world, in your life.
that's true.
And I was really good at one thing, and that was mastering depriving my body of nutrients just so that I can fit in. And it's terrible.
One of the things I want to say to the viewers out there, the one thing I want you to be able to master, and that's yourself.
Yes.
Realizing that you are valuable, you are beautiful as you are.
Yes.
We've talked today about eating disorders and food and that connection, emotional connection with food. But I want to challenge you out there that to take those steps, and maybe it's necessary for you to get that piece of paper and to write down really what is eating you, what's bothering you. And if you don't want to share that, get a journal and get something where you can keep it, you can lock it up. that nobody can see that. But I would advise you to start to look inward because God wants you to be that beautiful person, to not get caught up and tied in with, oh, I'm too fat or this. We want you to be healthy.
Yes.
Healthy in body, in mind, and spirit. So I want you to stay tuned next week as we're going to have another great topic for you out there, I guarantee you. And I want to say to all my hosts again, thank you. You got
You're
Coach
welcome.
Allison. You're beautiful. Remember, it's not the food you eat, it's what's eating you. So until next week, I want you to tweet me. Is it tweet?
Sure.
Am I saying it right?
Yes, got it right.
Tweet me at Dr. Barbara Young. Any questions, comments that you'd like to share, any topics you'd like for us to say or share, we'd be happy and we'd be delighted to hear from you. So keep those letters and emails, tweets coming because we would love to hear from you. So thank you for listening and we will be with you again next week. We've got a great topic next week. We're going to talk about, pressures on women today. All of you women and men. And what is it really like to live a life on purpose? So we'll see you next week. Stay tuned. Bye-bye and be blessed.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
good.
I should,
Yeah.
you know.
Okay.
It's so
All right.
fascinating.
Woo!
Fascinating.
Pressure's up. The pressure's on me.
I wish I had a little
But-
fan. I just pulled them
Yeah.
underneath that table.
See, what I really want, what I tell people about these things is that imperfection is such a gift.
Yes.
No kidding.
You know,
Yeah.
imperfection is
No
such
kidding.
a gift.
Well, you can
And-
say that now by living a life on purpose.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Should I still say that?
You can.
I think you should.
You can say